Got it now.
Yep.
Right. Welcome, everybody. This is the December 2025 meeting of the Rec Commission. It's December 15th. Apologies to folks who've bounced around with us as we've tried to find time to get quorum. We have quorum today, so we're looking forward to having our regular meeting. We have a few updates, and I know we've got some guest presenters on the agenda as well. The first item for the agenda is the approval of the November minutes. Does anybody have any comments? Or I guess let me start. Can I get a motion to approve the November minutes?
I approve them.
All right, Chris, second. Can I get a second?
Second.
Jonas. All right. Any comments on those minutes? All right. Then all in favor? Aye. Sanjay, Gwen. Okay. All right. Awesome. Great. We are approved for the November minutes. Next item, I know we've got some public on the phone today, so we'll go to public comment. And just we'll remind folks that the public comment are for items that are not agenda items on the meeting. If your comments are related to CPA project updates or the CPA Trails presentation, I just ask that you hold those comments until we get to those sections. But if anybody has a comment that is not related to those, if they could.
Andy, quick question.
Yeah.
I know that people who are presenting have comments about the CPA, about the CPA proposals, about the different projects that we've presented, and they're here to offer support for one of the others. Would you rather do that now from that, or?
We can do, let's see, so that would be independent of your project updates, Ray?
I mean, they are speaking independently of anything that we have conversations about.
Or is it in response to your project updates? So okay.
It is about the projects that we are presenting to the CPA that we have.
All right. Well, then let's open it up then for anybody who has comments relative to those projects that you'd like to share with the committee. If you are interested in speaking, just please raise your hand and we'll recognize you.
We have one. I'm going to present.
All right, and I guess, and as you come on, if you could just introduce yourself, please.
We have one member that just allowed to speak.
All right. Welcome, Meg.
I don't know if I came in at the right time.
You may not, because I know that you're here to present for the.
Yes, I misunderstood. So I lower my hand and I'll go away until it's the right time. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
And I've got I don't know why my camera didn't come on, but no problem.
I'll have you as a panelist when we introduce.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
No problem. All right. Any other public comments?
Yes. Bob.
Welcome, Bob. You are on mute.
There we go.
Good evening.
Hi, Bob. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes of public comment.
Okay. My name is Bob Newcomb. I've been an Amherst resident for over 40 years. I wanted to talk in regards to the War Memorial Bathhouse. My history with that is I was coaching the Amherst Tritons way back in the 80s. We swam there. I have 2 daughters that grew up. We spent a lot of time at that pool. I have a grandson now that is thoroughly enjoying that pool. And also, I am part owner of a group that rents the pool in the morning. It's a master swimming team, and we use it quite frequently, 3 times a week during the summer hours. My biggest concern is the condition of that bathhouse. It has been deteriorating over the years, and it is just not a clean, safe space for people
Shut
to
down
be
phone.
using.
Oh, Queen Meg, could you please mute?
I'm sorry.
That probably was
I
my
didn't know
mistake.
I was on.
All right, I'm sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
Okay. The condition of that facility needs to be addressed. It is just not as I mentioned, a clean or safe facility. That is not really a good representation of Amherst and the the value of the War Memorial Pool is definitely hindered by that particular object. So I hope this is an item that can be addressed, to be able to bring that up to a nice high quality standard for the benefit of everybody in the community to be able to use that facility.
Thank you. Can I ask a quick question, Bob? When you mentioned
Certainly.
safety, what do you mean specifically?
I think the floors are incredibly slippery, especially when wet, and especially around some of the shower areas are dirty, which of course leads to another slippery situation. I just don't think that the facility need it, certain flooring, being able to be cleaned in a certain way to be able to keep that from being a hazard.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, Bob.
And we also have John Henry.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
You can.
So I have my 3 minutes.
Yes, 3 minutes for public comment.
All right. My name is John Henry. I'm a resident of Amherst for the last 5 years. I am a teacher at the middle school. I teach mathematics. I have three daughters who are on the swim team, one of which was a full-time lifeguard at War Memorial this summer. I was there quite a bit myself. And if I could add to it, I would add under the lens of the usage of the summer camps. I'm advocating that the shower house, bathhouse area is in need of renovation. It's in need of upkeep. I watched, the usage this summer, all of the children coming through, all of the summer camps, the vitalness of the location of the War Memorial Pool. Some of the aspects that I think need attention are the drainage. There was many reports of it not draining properly. I had my daughter coming home telling me about it kind of on a daily basis. I myself was there quite a bit, doing laps in the morning, watching the sunset in the evening. And I would also say, kind of as like a master swim program, oftentimes I would be getting changed and the camps would be coming in and the facilities weren't equipped. There was one changing stall. And I would also raise that as a concern as well. Not necessarily not to have the campers there, but having the facility meet the needs of both kind of the masters, lap swimmers into the overlap of the camps. And I didn't see that. And just general upkeep, I would also second the floors were slippery at times. And like I said, the drainage and just the overall layout of the facility needs to be updated.
Thank you, John. Quick question. Do you know, you may not offhand, is there one changing stall for both the female and the male portions?
I do not know that. I know that the female has a big open area. I just actually asked that
Okay.
question of my
Okay.
daughter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know that we certainly will have access to plans, but I appreciate you sharing that information directly with the committee. Okay.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
I have no other hands raised.
All right. Okay, well, thank you, Bob and John. And just a reminder for everyone else, we have a couple more updates. And if you have comments to add relative to those, they're both related to CPA. So any other CPA questions you can bring up at that point. All right. First item on our agenda is the CPA project updates. Ray, we've got you and Amy, but I think it's all you today.
Well, I am going to actually, for the sake, we aren't as far behind as I thought we would be right now. I'm actually going to ask Donna to make their presentation first. Uh,
Okay, that's fine by me.
And so that this is in relationship to the CPA proposals. The big reason why we're here today is because I wanted to make sure that basically two pieces. I wanted to make sure that the commission had a chance to share with Jonas as our commission rep any sort of thoughts, feelings about priorities for our CPA proposals. As they've already heard last
I'm going to
week,
start now.
they've they've already heard the what the recreation was able to propose last week. Um, I want the commission to be able to share with Jonas any sort of feedback that they have in terms of the deliberations that CPA has to go through. But also, I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity for Donna to make this presentation, which they've been asked to connect with the Rec Commission on the trail work, which I shared with you all in the email. So I'm going to elevate the two members here who are there for this presentation, Brian Harvey and Meg Gage.
Very good.
I've asked them to make a presentation here. We'll try and hold them to 10 minutes and then provide them a chance to answer any questions that you all have about the trail proposal that they have. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Meg. Welcome, Brian. Thanks for joining. You're both on mute, but take it away.
Great. Well, thanks, and thanks for working the magic to get us all in one place at one time. It's never easy. So I'm here, Brian Harvey, and you've already seen Meg Gage. She's the president of Donut, and that's sort of the sponsoring neighborhood organization.
Video.
And we also have, we thought we had Margaret Ortrup, who's our historical consultant. She's in Ohio someplace who's having trouble getting in. So we'll proceed without her. So I do have a little presentation we can do that gets kind of the basic facts out there, and then give you, whatever we can tell you. We're working our way through this process and learning a lot as we go along. So I can do that. Can I share? I can do that. Can I share? Yeah.
I'll do that right now. Okay, it should be open for you.
Okay. Let's see what we got. What are y'all seeing?
Got it.
Okay. Well, let me turn on the magic here.
I'll just say while you're doing that, thank you so much for making time for us to do this presentation because we're so very enthusiastic about the recreation component of our project, which hasn't gotten as much attention as other components. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Happy
absolutely.
to accommodate you. Yeah.
So let me just I heard a few questions in the lead in here, and I think we can answer them all right here. So that'll be good. So basically, we got here because some people up in North Amherst going along the trails there found some ruined foundations and kind of wondered what that was all about. We started to look into it, and it was the tip of an iceberg. Donna organized a project to try to do a formal way of getting at some of the history of that area, utilizing the trails. And we've had a couple of earlier exploratory CPA grants. So yes, Andrew, if you remembered this coming up in the past, this is probably what you were remembering.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And, we did it in 23 and 24. And in 24, we hoped that we were getting to the point where we could finish this. And then when we went into that, we discovered that this was much more than we had thought it was. And that's why we're here again today. Along the way, we also raised about a third of the total money we spent on this. So we're continuing to work on that. It's one of our big priorities. So as I said, we have found more than we ever thought was going to be there. What we're trying to do now is get our heads around this and make what we found available. And making it available to the community is two CPA projects we had in. The first that we're not talking about here tonight, which we did talk about with the Historical Commission, is this historical survey, trying to get the facts and all of the perspectives on that area. in place. And then the second one, which we are here to talk about, is what we thought we were doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, which is, let's tell this story via the use of that trail and, really encourage people to get out there and use it with this different angle. And actually, the more we've looked at it, the more we love this because it sort of blends two things about Amherst. First, we have this terrific trails network. We have lots of people engaged in passive recreation on our trails. And we also have this strong interest in history. And this turns out to be sort of an ideal blend of those two. So what we're trying to do is encourage greater interest in passive recreation, promote appreciation of the public landscape in general, and get people into personal contact with our shared history. Now, some of you may be more or less familiar with the area, but here's what we're talking about. This is the sort of Mill River area. Here's the center of North Amherst down here with the church and the library. Cushman's over here, and here's Pepper's Pond, so it kind of gives you the lay of the land. And of course, the light green or whatever that greenish color is, those are the town's conservation holdings there. And then down here, of course, we have the Mill River Rec area. So this whole corridor is pretty much the town's. And this is the trail network that, those of us in this part of the town use all the time, but I think lots of people do use it. We're there a lot, and we see a lot of activity, not just people walking their dogs. And so this is what creates the opportunity. So where this little thing is moving around up here, this is where we first stumbled across some of the material, some of the what's going on here. You walk up there. If you've ever been up there, you can see this. It's the ruins of something. And in our first survey, that we got CPA funding for, we discovered that it was, in fact, what we call the Robert Flower Mill, was actually built by Daniel Rowe. Those stones were set in 1795. That's been a paper mill. It was in operation for decades. They made rag paper the old-fashioned way there. And then go across the bridge up there, and you get up a little bit closer to the railroad tracks, and you see another location where you see ruins. These are a little more extensive. And this turns out to be a second paper mill the Roberts family built in 1848 up there. And this was a pretty big operation, and it ran for a long time. And they made leather board and straw board. And so we began to realize there's a lot going on here. So that first survey I talked about is where we looked at these two paper mills, and we also looked at the grist mill. You're probably familiar with the grist mill on Montague Road. That's been there for quite a while also. And those are the things you can kind of see. But as we got into this, in that second survey, we knew there had been activity here at the Puffer's Pond, right on the spot of the South Beach for many years was an ice house and an ice elevator. And that ice was commercially farmed off of the pond and distributed all over town. And then up here by the bridge, up where Bridge Street goes across, you had a variety of other buildings there, which we knew about. We knew there were some paper mills up there. So this began to really get us to unearth what was happening. On the strength of this, we started to look into it. And I have to tell you, this is when it all kind of exploded. Because this is what we've discovered as we've looked into it. And we think we're pretty well on top of all the things that occurred there over time. And it's amazing. And it is not just in one place, and it's not just in one industry, and it's over an extended period of time, a 200-year period of time. That whole river corridor was developed with a variety of mills and industries that is sort of amazing when you think about it. There were 18 locations where there were at least 26 different structures and 69 businesses, and it was grain and wood products and paper making and textiles. It was just amazing. So this is the area that we're trying to integrate into this passive recreation proposal, because what we want to do is have the ability for people to not only use this really terrific trail network, but also be more motivated and to have school kids come down there and to have, I've done walking tours down there with people. So here you have all of these sites that were created over all this period of time, but telling the story gets complicated, as you just saw. This may look complicated also, but it really shows you the industries. Up at the top, we had the sawmills and the grist mills. They were there forever. Then you had
they initiated with farming.
Well, yes, this was.
Sorry to interrupt. Keep going. Sorry, I'm sorry, Brian. The first mills were related to farming.
Right. And then the paper mills started to come in, and these are textile mills. And so these are the big industries up there. And you look at this stuff and you begin to ask some questions. And one of the questions, for example, is why did a farmer who had no business experience build a big cotton factory in the middle of the wilderness? This was 1809. Ebenezer Dickinson, a distant relative of Emily's, was an affluent farmer, and he built right below this. The maps at the time were a little crazy. This is sort of on its side. Here's Tupper's Pond. Right below that, on the current site of the Mill Hollow Apartments, he built a big cotton mill. He didn't really know much about it, but okay. Why did he build a cotton mill? The answer is sort of Napoleon. Really, it was because as we got into the War of 1812 and the global conflict between Great Britain and France, it created the domestic textile industry, which you see all over New England. But it was right here on our little Mill River, and he thought he'd try it out. Then we asked the question, well, why did textiles come and go? Look how much activity there was in a brief period of time, and then it all disappears. We're trying to figure that out. And a lot of it, again, was after the War of 1812, the European textiles came back and nobody did anything. Then there was a lot of speculation and a recession in 1837. A few people, a little more textile work, the Jones family was going. But finally, what happened was the economic recovery and the gold rush brought all the capital in and the railroad bubble, and people built textile mills up and down that river. Why did they go away? Mostly because the boom burst, the bubble burst, and the panic of 1857 wiped a lot of things out. But there was more to it than that. And paper went on for 150 years. And people don't believe it, but this was an enormous industry on that river for all those years. Here's the early one we saw. This is the Cushman Old Mill up on East Levitt Road. This is the Cushman Red Mill right at the corner of State Street and Bridge Street. That was there for many years. It was a big operation. And one of the ways they managed to stay in business is they didn't make conventional paper. They made leather board and straw board, all these specialty papers using local produce that were then manufactured to things like shoe buttons and little folders. There was never any pulp paper being made on the river, yet these companies went on for years and years. This, you will not believe, but this stood at the corner of State Street and Bridge Street also. This is the American Waxed Paper Company, which operated this big building there for until about 1930. So this is the stuff that it kind of opens up all of these different stories. This is a diagram. Here's where the wax paper company was. Here's the bridge, that's the old bridge. And then down here was the Holyoke Carbon Paper Factory. So we look at all this and you ask yourself a lot of questions about how it got there and what it was all about. But then you also ask the question, why did it all disappear? You go to other mill towns in Massachusetts and it's all still around in some form or another. And so the end story is at least as interesting as the origin story. Partly it's because the river was so small. You can put a lot of business, a lot of mills on it, but there's a very limited flow, quickly exploited. It was not navigable. Very few nearby markets or supply trains, and the railroad did come through in 1866. But by the time it did, these businesses were primarily closed. And of course, we could not compete with the big operations in Holyoke and Chicopee, Lowell and Lawrence. And we weren't making the kinds of things that were going to allow us to survive after the railroads broadened the markets and allowed people to trade wherever they wanted to. But the other thing that is of great interest to us is a lot of these things disappeared for very tangible reasons. Fire and flood. Here we go back. Here's the cotton mill that Ebenezer Dickinson built in 1809. And as we said, he didn't know much about it, and he went bankrupt very quickly, owed all of his creditors, and was going to skip town. Word got out, and the constable went to his house up in the attic and found there all of the finished goods from the factory that he was about to skip town with. So that stuff stayed. He did leave town for Ohio, but before he left, he cast a violent curse on Factory Hollow and all of the mills to come. And of course, at the time, who knows? But it's an interesting thing because not that long afterwards, his building burned. And then another mill burned up the river. And then the building they built to replace his building burned. And then on and on and on over a long period of time, many of the structures that had been so busy um, over such a long period of time on the river literally went up in flames. And it's one of the reasons that there's so little we see about that story today. Oh, there was also one flood. That was the flood of 1863 that wiped out the first Puffer's Pond Dam, and it was also wiped out the Hills Palm Hat Factory that had been built out there. So it's a fascinating set of circumstances. The story not only of the individual industries and how they fit into the broader American story, but also the way that these entrepreneurs were part of the community up there. These are the names that we hear now: Cushman and Roberts and Sweetser and all of these different Jones, all these families, Kellogg, were. This is where they were, and this is who built this part of our community. So we've been going around with this story some as we've been unearthing it. People are quite interested in it. We've had a lot of people read some progress reports we've put in the papers. Did a big presentation at the Amherst History Society. We had a nice full house there, and a few hundred other people have watched it on video. Did a presentation down at Applewood earlier this year. And just a few weeks ago, I did a walking tour along the trail, which also sold out. There's just a tremendous amount of interest. And what we like about this is that it's tapping into some things that we already have said as a community we want to do. The master plan talks about promoting these historical and cultural resources, improving the wayfinding system to mark historic districts, outreach tools, tours, and websites and so forth to disseminate knowledge of Amherst history among the public. So we feel like we're trying to advance that agenda, but it's also in the open space and recreation plan to developing the network of trails and sidewalks and so forth, to mark historic sites and encourage tourism, to support historical and archaeological preservation and education efforts, and to provide strategic connections between open space and parks and recreation areas. So this is such a unique area to be able to create connections from the center of North Amherst to the Mill River recreation area, and just the broadened awareness of open space and recreational opportunities. So, an updating that. Yep. Who am I hearing?
Not sure what, Meg, were you trying to?
Oh, okay.
Nope.
I don't know.
This time I was quiet.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're almost at the end here. And so we're here with the CPA project. This is obviously this one, not the historical survey part, but this passive recreation use is under the recreation aspects of Community Preservation Act. This would obviously be a passive recreational use. And this would be trying to leverage the use of these trails to encourage greater use of them, and also to make more of open up a lot of these activities to people who may not currently use these resources. And I have to tell you, the group that I had down there on the walking tour was quite interesting. I don't think any of them had ever been on that trail before, but after 2.5 hours of walking around, they were really into it. So just, it's kind of tangibly, here's the area. This is not only the recreation area and the conservation, but the North Amherst Center National Historic District is here, and the Cushman one is up here. So this is all a big corridor. There's the trail network. And so what we're talking about is putting in, as we're trying to both provide a lot of cues to use this space, but also not overwhelm it with signs. So we're proposing to have 4 or 5 sort of major kiosks that would cue people into the whole area. These are just suggestions at the moment. We've been talking to Dave a lot about this, kind of meld with his signage project. But maybe one down by the library, one at Mill River, somewhere maybe near the bridge where the trails start. Puffers would be an ideal spot. It's just about halfway through. Something up by the bridge up here, maybe Cushman Common, and then to have much smaller, more discreet, really just little QR code signs along some of the trail points where you can see where these sites were and where people can be directed to look at not only what's there now, but using some of the technology that's now available, you can hold your phone up and get an image of what it is you're looking at based on where you are. So we're very much open to the placement of these things, but the idea is to open up access by having these the signage that will then cue you into the website and carry you off in many directions. So, what we're looking for obviously is the funding to bring it all together. The archive we've been talking about with the Historical Commission, and then we're here tonight talking about the trail and website. And as I said, we have looking for both CPA funding, and we're going to continue with a pretty aggressive private fundraising to leverage that. But what we need more than anything else, uh, you know, Andrew, you remember it was a while. You said it was years ago when you were coming up.
I think you were doing your first surveys at that point.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was probably was it. But it feels like that to us too, because we've been working on this for a long time. But we need to sustain this momentum enough to bring this ship home to port. And you got to sustain your volunteer effort. Private donors want to know that there's something going on. And honestly, we are fearful that if we aren't able to keep moving at this point, this whole thing can peter out, and we will give you this nice little cartoon of a PowerPoint, but we will not be able to do the whole project. So we're really hopeful that CPA funding can allow us to keep moving, let us raise more money, and finally bring this thing home.
This is a wonderful presentation. I greatly appreciate it. Just my line of work, I very much appreciate the spatial temporal aspect of what you're doing. It really helps bring the story home. Could you just clarify a little bit more about the ask in terms of dollars? Like what are we looking at here to get this done? And this is basically just wayfinding. No, all right, yeah. So no, in terms of on the ground, it's not trail, nothing surfaces. It's a wayfinding, it's a QR codes, and then
Okay. Yeah, that's a big point. The Concom has been very, interested in that too. We've been working with them from the very beginning, and they definitely didn't want any more trails, no spurs. They don't want a bunch of signs, in the middle of the conservation trails. So that's how we've sort of been coming up with this mixed approach, where what you see on the trails is very, very contained and discreet, and then you can use those kiosks to tell the bigger story. But no, we're not going to disturb. We're not going to do a thing to the ground.
Got it. Okay. I see Jonas has his hand up. Our CPA rep, Jonas, what's on your mind?
Yes, hi Brian. So there's already been a presentation to CPAC on recreation and conservation sign areas. Any possibility of at least getting the signs produced? Your signs?
Yeah, we definitely we've been talking to Dave ever since from the beginning too, and we touched base with him just last week, trying to make sure that we're all heading in the same direction and that we're maximizing the resources. One of the problems we have, is a little chicken and eggy, because we're trying to fit it together. So you can see some of this stuff is a little bit up in the air, and actually Dave is advising us that this is probably not enough for the sign, so we might need to economize in some other areas and move some down here, because now he's gotten far enough along in his project to have some real tangible pricing on kiosks. But we've talked specifically to him about sharing the kiosk at the Puffers South Beach. He's hoping to put that one back in shape, and we would love to get some real estate on the other side of that. That's one way we can kind of make this fit in. Is that the kind of thing you're looking at, Jonas?
Oh yeah, just curious. I mean, as you know, there's many projects.
Yes.
Competing for a few dollars. And actually some of them are literal preservation of trails, like the so just get all the information.
Right. No, this is a horrible year for any of us to be trying to figure out how to do this. But as I said, we're trying to keep this thing going and get it over the hump so that we can bring it home. And it's also obviously a little bit different take on passive recreation, but we've been very encouraged that, opening it up to a different kind of clientele would be great.
Brian, maybe you could take away oh, are we going to talk about the budget? I should, I
I'm
just,
gonna get out. I can stop sharing.
I have, because we changed the meeting time, I have a conflict. If I have to leave very soon, but I'm be interested to hear what your questions are from Brian. The idea, I think, is clear that we've got this extraordinary history. It's something everyone's interested in. It aligns perfectly with the town master plan. And we need to have funding in order to make it accessible. So this isn't just something academic or, in a book or on a website, but so that people who are out walking around this area that we know so well can be exposed to this extraordinary history. So it's a very cool. We're trying to make this. A lot of things in Amherst are in books and libraries, and in fact, there's a huge amount that we've found at the special collections at the Jones Library. And Jim Smith, who was the engineer and town engineer for a long time, produced a lot of material. Was just in boxes. So this part of the project is so important because we want to make this accessible, so nobody has to go to the library. They can just be walking along a trail and use their phone and have access to all this information. And with that, I'm so sorry. I'm actually quite late for something already. But thank you so much. And thank you, Brian. I apologize that
absolutely.
I have to leave.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Meg.
Right. Chris, Sanjay, any questions for Brian in his presentation?
No questions.
Very good. Yeah, like I said, super comprehensive. I think, just from my time on the commission in the past, understanding, you'll want to sort of, as you present it, be very clear what that 85 would get you, right? Like in terms of all the way to the finish line, what's been invested so far, and then if there are any other, like, do you anticipate any future maintenance costs to that? Is it something that, you put it in, and then every 3 years you got to go out and clean the signs or replace signs? Like those would be the types of questions that I would want to know. Yeah, no, again, really appreciate the time. Love the story, and it's a fascinating project.
Well, yeah, we really appreciate it. I know it's a little bit off the usual beaten track, but as I said, this is one of those ideas that got bigger and bigger, and we're just hoping to turn the corner and get it done. Actually, Jonas, I think you'll find in the larger group, because we'd already talked to Dave some about this maintenance thing. I think he will. I think his attitude has been for things like how long, how we're going to keep the thing in pieces, in shape and so forth. He's a great guy. He says we'll work it out. So you'll probably hopefully hear him say something about that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, again, thank you for the time, Brian.
Right.
You're welcome
Absolutely.
to stay on if you'd like. But we will move on to our next topic then.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great
See you
evening.
later. Yep.
All right. So we're gonna take a step back to the earlier agenda item, which is the CPA project updates. Ray, hand it over to you.
Okay. First of all, I apologize. That was me that was kind of botching the audio there in the middle. I'm going to have a little technical difficulties. I might get bumped off of here. I made Andrew the co-host, and if so, I'll be able to log back in on my phone elsewhere. But I do just want to take the opportunity. The purpose again for this was to allow the commission to give each other, and in particular Jonas, any sort of feedback that they want to in terms of our recreational priorities, your recreational priorities as a commission. We've had a chance to look at the two that were Town of Amherst proposed CPA recreational proposals. We had a chance to look at the skate park proposal that came in and presented, and now we've had a chance to listen to the It's not the same as the others because it's not under the rec label, but we've had a chance to listen to the trails proposal.
Yeah.
And the juggling, the juggling that CPA has to do to try and find out where they're going to spend the money is significant. I do want to say, I'll let you all, I will let you all sort of talk about where you are. Jonas can mention where you are in the process. But I want to start by saying that as a director, and only as a director, and giving my 2 cents on where the department is, the War Memorial Pool proposal is a very, very significant, important part of our long-term planning.
Can I ask Ray real quick? I'm sorry. Do you have, just to help me keep straight, you mentioned the 4. Do we just have like something we can even pull up this on the screen that says these are the projects and these are the asks for those? Or Jonas, you might have that as well.
Yeah, I can share. I'm able to.
Yeah, I'm a visual person, and seeing that would be great. And then also, I think, Jonas, if you can ground us on what some of the projects in basically cumulatively what amount of funding is being sought out. So, is this, I know, Pat, like, this has to be at least 10%, right? Like, per CPA guidelines. This is one that I think is in the past maybe has not got, it's doesn't always get as many presentations, but there's guaranteed money here. It could go above that, but yeah, we heard 85 for here. I think the skate park was in the neighborhood of like 100. Just can't remember.
Skate park, they're only asking for 20 now.
20 now, okay.
20 for, let's see, 20 for a survey of 2 sites. And they haven't decided which 2 sites they are, but $20,000 to do like an exhaustive survey of up to 2 sites, well, 2 sites. And if not that, 40,000 for more than 2 sites. So they've scaled it back, I think. And David kind of pointed out, David kind of commended him, Aubrey, for realizing maybe there'd be a better entry point, which would be coming in the preliminary kind of research phase. So they scaled that back. Let's see, the town of Amherst open space is money for like fixing Larch Hill, the boardwalk near the common school on Larch Hill, other trails, bridges that are in disrepair or dangerous. And let's see, the recreation conservation signage was some very nice. I think they've already maybe started designing them, but it's maybe actually getting them built, which is kind of picking up on the signage we have in town, that kind of motif that we already have, like the brown. You see it up in at the Rotary in Triangle Street. So it's using that kind of same theme to mark our recreation areas. And of course, we know the bathhouse and pickleball courts.
Okay, so those are the 5, and then about 20 skate park, the presentation on the trail improvements we just heard, or the conservation was 85. And then do we remember what
if you want me to get in, I can go drill in here. And do you want to look at real?
If it's accessible, yeah. I mean, I think because we want to hear from the commission.
Yeah.
What do we, the committee members, which of these do we feel is most important? Inform you so you can go into these conversations. And I think understanding the magnitude is a useful component to that, because they all have lots of merit.
Yeah. Well, so pickleball is now, I think, 650. And I had a question on this. Maybe Ray, you would, and it didn't occur to me after the meeting. Ray, one of the big expenses is ADA, is accessibility. So I saw this access road, and I thought, oh, could that be used? I misinterpreted accessibility for like wheelchair accessibility. So getting up this road, it's a long way, but via wheelchair. And the person, I think David pointed out, well, we need to get cars up there. So it brings up the question of how many and this might seem insensitive, but how many people in are going to be using both accessibility and going to be playing pickleball? Like, who is this audience? And if we spend a lot of money to make this accommodation, is it a legal reason, or is it we think it's an amenity we need?
It's very much a legal reason to provide the access that that's a requirement that uh, uh, predisposes any concern we have about how many people would make use on it. When you're building for ADA compliance, we do need to provide those accessible features. So the road, we did talk a little bit about how the road access along going out to Mill Lane is primarily that would be um, uh, that's primarily for the workers, for the builders to be able to create the courts, the creating the ADA compliance down from the splash park and down from the hill is another feature. We started talking about options of making it so that the ADA compliance is, if it's more affordable or more realistic, to just leave that leave that access out towards Mill Lane, on the road out towards Mill Lane on the south end, as opposed to going down past the parking lot into the playground and splash park area. So there are ways that we can look at trying to make that as affordable as possible. But there's no way that we would be able to get around, we would be able to quantify whose access or how many people's access.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I won't dwell on that then. So let's see. And then, of course, War Memorial was a big presentation. I think, I don't know, this is just my opinion, it's a proven amenity that people are asking for, and there's a desire for it. So I feel like, to just neglect it, to continue to neglect it would be a shame. And it's kind of a proven to be in demand. So I think,
As a director, my concern on War Memorial is that uh, it feels like a referendum right now on whether or not we need two pools or not. In terms of our programming, we know that we've invested a lot in that pool physically. We know that we've invested a lot of the direction of our department in making access possible, to creating more access to the pools and more access to aquatics programming, on mission, on budget and revenue. It's a central part of how we've identified ourselves. It is also, historically, that's a space that Amherst has used and relied on for an important, as other pieces of the recreation area have fallen apart. That has been a central part of how we operate over there, and it brings a lot of people to the area in terms of relieving pressure and stresses on other parts of of our of our of our programming. I think that it's important for us to say that if this is a referendum on the two pools, I need to make it very clear that from department programming standpoint, we do absolutely, uh, it's a vital part of our operations, and we can't afford to hope that we can band-aid and drag along and find some way to make it work and sure without thing here, because War Memorial showing any degree of that of stability ends up changing everything we do in our aquatics program.
All right, Ray, I'm gonna just put you on mute. I think we got the
And
gist of
so
that.
I do want to just make sure clear if I to.
I'm sorry, like you were fading in and out pretty bad. I think we got the gist of it, which you wanted to make the point about this not being about the referendum and that these pools are critical for overall programming.
Amy,
Jonas, did I see this was 2.8 million? That was the ask for this?
yes, and Amy clarified, I think I'd asked her before, just for the record, that renovating the existing, kind of band-aiding it, even because she showed pictures of the locker rooms, their rusted pipes. I think she in a prior presentation she talked about plumbing, maybe not being able to be um, you know maintained. So she said that renovating would only save, a small, would only be slightly less than building new. So,
Okay.
and obviously less, less, and renovating will not get you. So some of the things we get if we build new is there'd be like a non-binary bathroom, which families could go in, a family of four mixed genders could go into that, that changing room. Instead, she said basically you go left if you're a male, right if you're female, and you try to find your party when you get back out. They also would it would be moved to a different location, and that was based on, it would actually get moved. I think it would replace a basketball court she mentioned.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, and I can't remember the rationale for that, but I don't know. She made a good case, and as we know, Denise is the programming. They're very active um, in keeping this pool busy. And I also think that probably as the fields go in and that high school becomes, with the turf, the grass updates, the track updates, just going to be like a nicer area generally. I would imagine it's just going to be even more of a destination for people to walk to.
Very good.
That's the other advantage. You can walk to it. So from town. So
All right. Hey, real quick, Jonas, do you mind just giving us the cost in the open space? And then I see somebody in the attendees has their hand up, just identified as user. Can you just update your name on that so we know you're a real person? And then if we can get your comment. But yeah, the open space number, Jonas, do you have a sense for that?
it was.
So unrelated to the War Memorial. I mean, I feel like that was sort of.
Oh, you mean War Memorial? You don't want War Memorial?
Yeah, right. I've got the costs for 4 of the 5.
Okay.
And then yeah, if we can Chris, Sanjay, let's get this and then let's open it up. Your thoughts relative to importance, and then also it's useful too if you have questions that you want Jonas to be able to carry forward to the committee. That's great as well.
Yeah.
So they want 100,000 for this.
Yeah. I think they've identified. Well, they didn't really prioritize, but first was Larch Hill.
I think in the past this was just kind of I think Dave sort of put a generic 100,000 in every year to CPA. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and then there's also mention of maybe funding a summer position of like trail upkeep for like maybe $25,000 going to an actual position.
Okay, but not out of CPA money.
There might have been.
I don't think they can do that.
I don't think they can.
No, someone. Maybe this was just an example of what they've been doing in the past, but
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Chris, Sanjay, what do you guys think? We've heard the presentations. Any of these that you feel especially passionate about that you want to speak up on?
Sanjay, you going first or am I?
Well, you're already speaking. I guess you better keep going.
Again, I take another one from you. I mean, to me, it really boils down to would be the frustration of the pickleball courts. And I will agree with Sanjay off of, I believe, previous conversations of making the bathhouse to spend like 2.5. I mean, I agree with that pool. I just don't know if there was a way to make it it just seems like for 2.5, I mean, that should have like heated floors and a mausoleum or something like that. I don't know if there was a way to cut that. I don't know if Amy and Ray were working at that, or.
I think they've been working very hard. I know that just in my line of work, I've got a sense of construction costs, and like that number didn't surprise me at all, honestly.
Oh, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
It's just shocking for.
Well, I believe they, oh, sorry. Believe they also have some existing. They have a bit of a reserve, I thought. But yeah.
And
I mean,
actually,
again, like being on the other committee, I mean, is there any other way to extract some grant money or some revenue money from? We're looking at that different ways for Cherry Hill. I mean, a pool's a pool, unfortunately, but I mean, I think they narrowed that bathhouse down to pretty much just be a bathhouse. So I mean, you're not going to say work 520.
can I just pause you for a sec, Chris? It turns
Yeah.
out that user is Becky, and so I want to Becky Demling. I want to give her a chance to speak up in case she has some
Definitely
information for us to bring in. So let's see here. Becky, I've promoted you to a panelist if you'd like to make your comment. Becky?
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry. I was having trouble logging in on the work computer onto my Zoom account, and I don't know why. So I am the mysterious user. I just wanted to, I know Denise had been on the call, but she's actually on at a swim meet right now, and I don't know if Ray is able to join, but I did attend in the audience to the CPA meeting, so I didn't know if you had any questions, and I also wanted to reiterate my professional and personal support for the for the War Memorial Pool. As you know, I oversee the summer camp program, and that pool is vital for 90 swim lessons a day during the summer, during the 7 weeks of summer, like just in the morning before it opens for open swim. We also have campers go in the afternoon for open swim. I do want to say to speak to the bathhouse specifically and Chris, some of your comments. We have for the at least the last 2 summers have had non-binary campers that don't feel comfortable changing at the pool. We actually have instituted the practice that all of the campers change at the middle school because there's only one changing stall in the current facility on each side for campers to change in. You can imagine the discomfort of campers changing out in the open during the summer. So I did want to make that point. I also want to speak personally as the parent of a child with autism and cognitive impairment. The lack of a family changing room, actually, when my son was little, was a huge stress because to send your child through a locker room, hoping they come out on the other side because the entrance is gender split is actually a huge stress in multiple public locations. Um, I will say that I am part of a group of parents whose um, now adult children with special needs have long utilized War Memorial because it's a little quieter than Mill River. So it is actually a really vital pool to multiple multiple individuals with special needs. So I do want to plug that, but I didn't know if you all had any questions since Ray and Denise aren't currently on the call that I could help with.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, I'm in favor of the pool, pretty much 100%. I mean, having a daughter that's a counselor, I do know what it is to, that's my move that many kids up there. I just didn't know if it was a one-stage project, a two-stage project. It's just, I mean, I'm being 100% in favor. I'm just trying to figure out a better, not the better way to get it done, but just to definitely get it done. It's just.
I think part of the issue, Amy mentioned at the meeting on last week, the CPA meeting, was that the building is 75 years old. And so there are limitations with the foundation. There are actually issues with the foundation. They have tried to put Band-Aids onto the pool, but it's 75 years old and past its useful life. The new pool house would have multiple advantages, including it would have access to bathrooms, like how at Mill River you can access the bathrooms without going into the pool. So that would also become available, which actually, with given the number of fields in that location, would be extremely useful. So that would be important. It would also allow for more private showers and changing rooms and a family slash non-binary changing space so that individuals can feel welcome to utilize the space. But I think Amy had said it was like 2.2 to refurbish the building, and it was 2.8 to just build a new one. Um, the new building would be built on the basketball court side. That basketball court is probably also original too when the pool was installed, but it would improve flow in that whole area. Um, so that was something they said. I know Denise and Amy and Ray worked extensively to try and figure out how to reduce the cost of this project. It's a lot of plumbing. It's like lots of bathrooms in one building because you need the shower access, you need the toilet access. And that's kind of that's the current cost with inflation and everything else. But I do know they were very serious about trying to reduce the cost of the project. And my understanding is that they couldn't make it any lower.
From previous commissions, I think the large spend is actually it's not as big of a deal historically because those just jump right into bonding status. So like as the commission deliberates, they just make the determination that they want to bond that project so that you don't have to hit. Basically what that means is that 2.8 would be sort of amortized over 10 years, and then we take a tenth of that every year from CPAC. So it does limit what you have available in future years, but it does allow you to get bigger ticket items through.
Okay.
Just for what it's worth.
I didn't understand that part, but yeah.
That came up when
we don't need all of the money up front to do it. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, well, that was my biggest fear was the all up front. But if you're doing it over 10 years, that's
yeah, it's I'm not sure the exact schedule that they use for that, but I will say the finance folks have. So like I like having the numbers for order of magnitude. But I was telling Jonas, or I will tell Jonas, I should say, that the town finance committee will, or the sort of the financial
John Mangano, the finance director, yes,
will really help a lot to try to make the numbers work. So I guess with that, so Chris, pool house too important, right? Sort of near the top of your list is what I was hearing. Did I get that right?
Yep, definitely.
All right, awesome. Sanjay, how about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, a question or two about the pool project. And do we? I saw you scrolling through lots of documents there, which I was catching little bits of it. Do we have it? So the proposed new pool house, it's going to go on the existing basketball court, right? Basically. Is that the site that was identified in the planning report, the master recreation plan report?
I think it was. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, Becky's confirming. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. So
Because of the foundation issue that Becky just mentioned, instead of
yeah,
building on the existing foundation.
What it also allows is that swing space, so we don't have to take the pool offline for summer because the pool house would be under
no, no, yeah,
construction.
I get that. I
You
was just
build the
asking.
pool house. Yeah.
I was just asking to verify that the proposal was consistent with the very expensive plan that was commissioned by the town, and it is.
Yes.
Okay. Um, I have a little bit of experience with the town getting bids for construction projects, and they do not tend to correspond to any semblance of reality. I'm referring to a project related to Amherst baseball activities, which, came in at like more than 4 times what any reasonable person would think it would cost to do the project.
More than
Some
four
of that
times
is
for
certainly, some of
what
that
you'd
is
expect
certainly,
or what was budgeted. I'm sorry, Sanjay, didn't mean to cut you off.
some of that is certainly because of prevailing wage requirements and the onerous public procurement process. Um, the the like amount per square foot is nutso for a 1-story building like this, even with lots of plumbing. And as a commission that acts in an advisory capacity, which has no actual power, right? Like we have no decision-making authority. Um, I, notwithstanding Ray's comments about the referendum on the existence of the second pool, I'm not thrilled with feeling put in a position of um, having to decide like whether we're going to be able to have a second pool in town for an expense that is large enough that I fundamentally feel like CPA is not necessarily the right avenue for this funding, and that this is the kind of capital expense that the town should be engaged in long-term planning and budgeting for. Um, and now here we are, being told that if we don't get another bathhouse, the town is going to have to seriously consider abandoning War Memorial. And I'm not thrilled about that, if I'm to be honest, which I am being. I would die on the hill of keeping War Memorial Pool open. Um, but I'm not thrilled with the situation in which we find ourselves as an advisory committee. I'll move on to say something about the other projects. I think the all-wheel skate park sounds great. I think that it needs more development, particularly with respect to siting. Um, and the presentation that we had earlier today, I think, was very impressive. I like that project. Um, I like that it's citizen initiated. I wish that more CPA money went to citizen initiated rather than town initiated projects. The town has a very large budget that it has control over. The citizens of Amherst have very few opportunities to propose and have projects funded that are of interest to themselves. Um, Pickleball, I mean, what to say? It's a long road, and I'm supportive of it because I think that adding recreational opportunities to town is the right move. Um, those are comments without a ranking or a vote. I don't know if we need a ranking or a vote from each member, Andy, but those are
We
the
don't.
comments that I have to offer.
No, those are great comments. We do not. We just wanted to Jonas to be able to go into deliberations, understanding what the attitudes are of this committee and the individual members of it. So I think that's great. And those are excellent comments. I agree with all of them.
And
Um,
Sanjay, I echoed your dismay on the CPAC meeting. Maybe it went a little too far. Wondering how it could have been brought to this point where more War Memorial would get to this level of deterioration. Um, and I used the word brinksmanship, and I then apologized to David for using that because I know there's so many competing interests, but it felt like the other question was to me is, let's say we invest this, where's the money to upkeep it? Um, is the hope that, well, now we have this shiny new thing and we're going to realize, okay, we got to upkeep this now, or will it?
I mean, CPA money is regularly spent on capital expenditures for which the town has no plan to perform maintenance and upkeep. And
Right.
I include in that the project on the athletic fields and track at the high school.
Right.
Yeah. I think in the case of the pool house, the main, I just wonder, right now we're spending money maintaining an asset that is in disrepair, that the efforts that we use to maintain that asset will now be used towards maintaining a proper asset, and that hopefully that would mean no substantial increase in costs, and who knows, maybe even a decrease in some of the costs. If, again, you think about your own home maintenance, it's cheaper to having built a house and bought an old one. It's less expensive to maintain a house that's new than one that's old. But I think I don't want us to have to discuss sort of the philosophy of this so much as just what are the ones that we think are important. And I'm definitely hearing War Memorial from all of us. Pickleball, heard some pickleball. I think I would just add pickleball has been trying that. They've been going at this for years, right? It started out as a citizen initiated project as well, Sanjay. And I think also the presentation we heard today, citizen initiated.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with those. I think the skate park also maybe just a little bit premature. But I am also hopeful that that's something, along with disc golf, that we can get incorporated into the town to build out more options. I know we could probably talk forever on this. Any parting thoughts for folks, from folks, I
Well,
should say?
yeah, Andy, if you don't mind, just to be clear about the pool bathhouse situation. I mean, um, I'm I'm really unhappy with the situation in which we've been placed here as the Recreation Commission, and we're not voting, and I'm not casting a vote. But if I were asked to cast a vote, I might not rank it very highly because I actually don't think that that is the right use of CPA money. And I think that that's a capital problem that the town should have been aware of and trying to address in a longer term manner.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you on the need for additional foresight in our town budget. Excellent. All right, Jonas, any feedback you want from us? Any specific things that you are looking to get info on?
No.
All right.
Yeah. No, good.
Okay. Not trying to force it. So, great. Okay. So, that covers us through our agenda. Is there any old business anybody has? Any new business? Okay. Then I think actually, well, I didn't realize this afterwards, or I just realized this now. I'm sorry. For the minutes, were we able to can we get that transcript and use the basically the AI aggregators to help call those down? I know I didn't ask in advance, so can I have someone just to help do that?
Yeah. So, hmm. I just popped the captions up, transcript up, and it looks like it only started when I
Yeah, I know that will only start, but I think we record the conversations and the
this has been being
recording
recorded.
transcript. I know in the past on other commissions I've been able to just get the full transcript from the Zoom.
So maybe Ray might have that then. I don't
All
know
right. Let's we can circle up with Ray afterwards.
I'm happy to crunch them.
Okay,
Like,
that would be great. And again, it's minutes. It doesn't have it's not, a play by play of what happened. It's kind of high level. Okay. Well, great. I see Ray has on here January 12th as the next meeting, probably to get our spacing down. I haven't looked at the calendar. I would just sort of reiterate, sort of, it's quite important for my schedule for that, like the first Monday of the month, and to try to keep that constant. I have other Monday commitments. So we have that penciled down. If you guys could please just put that in your calendar, and then we'll try to get back to that first Monday of the month moving forward.
Yep, Andy. So you're saying 12th of January, which is sort of out of sequence, and
Yeah,
then attempt to return to first Mondays after that.
that's what I would like to do. Yes.
Okay, sounds good to
All
me.
right. Great. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Becky.
Thanks for chipping in. And we'll
Everyone.
see everybody soon. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Bye, all.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.